Welcome to my channel. I'm your host, Eastside Legend, and today I will play the audio, let you hear the video, and then get my opinion on it. Today we reacting to Tony Two Time. Go to your YouTube search bar, punch in Tony Two Time TV, and thank me later. Title of this video is A Baltimore Couple Toxic Relationship Took a Fatal Turn.
To those who knew him best, 46-year-old Dante Chase was simply known as Man Man. If you ran into him around Baltimore, chances are he was smiling, cracking a joke, or bringing a burst of positive energy to the room. He was described by family and acquaintances as a truly motivational, inspiring, and funny soul who took immense pride in how he presented himself and how he cared for his loved ones. But above everything else, Dante was a deeply devoted father. He had an older son as well as two younger children, and he poured his heart into supporting them. On any given weekend, you could find him at his son's youth football games completely locked in. He wasn't just a spectator. He was the dad cheering on the
So he sound like an active father. He at the football games. He showing up. He there. He sound like an active father to me. Can't say he a deadbeat.
entire team, coaching from the sidelines and showing up as a strong, attentive example for all the players. To the community, his family looked well kept, happy, and anchored by a father who loved them fiercely. But it
Take control of the itch and athlete's foot. Try Dr. Scholl's Athlete's Foot Cream.
With deals on all your game day snacks and groceries. Store game day deals for a limited time on Uber Eats.
Commercial break going on, chat. But we just gonna stay right here tuned in.
$1,000. It only takes a few minutes, completely free. If you weren't the outfall driver, you qualify.
Even better than cake.
Well, start your free claim today at 3kforfree.com.
Is it time to reel in a big career opportunity? Start with tuition on us. You heard that right.
in the midst of Dante's life was 37-year-old Cherise Erica Parker. Dante and Cherise got together back in 2010, marking the beginning of a long-term relationship that would span over a decade. Together, they built a life and brought two beautiful children into the world, a son and a daughter. According to acquaintances from the outside, they were raising a family, but behind closed doors and even occasionally in the public, their connection was incredibly tumultuous. The couple's relationship existed in two completely different realities depending on who you asked. On one hand, people in their social circle saw a very specific dynamic. Some acquaintances noted that at public events, like their kids' football games, Cherise could allegedly be highly confrontational and argumentative toward Dante, even in front of their little ones. Witnesses recall
See, that's how you know she the problem. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying that the guy ain't did nothing or he ain't said nothing, but that's how you know she definitely a problem. She confrontational, you know what I'm saying? Argumentative in front of the kids in public. Some stuff you can't do in front of the kids. Some stuff you can't do in public. Sometimes a conversation on a ride home will save you a lot of trouble. Women always talk how they mature faster than men, but if you behave like this in public, I don't think that's true.
told Dante frequently walking away from the tension to keep the peace. Because according to someone on social media who was around the couple during football games or practices, Charisse allegedly appeared bold and vocal outside. Some onlookers said they never suspected anything darker was happening, noting they hadn't seen any physical marks or bruises. However, social media and court discussions later revealed a completely different story of what allegedly was happening behind closed doors. While some personal acquaintances strictly maintained that
So one of the people on Facebook said behind closed doors he was beating on her in front of their kids. Can't judge a book by its cover. We don't know if this true, but this just what people saying.
Dante would never lay a hand on her, others stepped forward to counter that narrative, stating plainly that the relationship was deeply toxic on both sides. According to those accounts, behind closed doors, severe physical altercations were a constant reality in their home, sometimes unfolded right in front of their children. Allegedly, it was a volatile environment, a private storm brewing beneath a public surface. Everything reached a devastating breaking point on the night of June 30th, 2025. Inside their home in the 700 block of North Kenwood Avenue in Southeast Baltimore,
I told y'all they was fighting in front of the kids, fighting, arguing in front of the kids. I wonder how many times the police came over there.
an altercation ignited between Dante and Charisse. It was just past 11 p.m. when the argument escalated far past words. In the heat of an alleged physical confrontation, a sharp
At 11 p.m., that's the time most people is in bed. They up at 11 at night arguing, probably over some BS. You know what I'm saying? And if we can't talk about it like civilized adults, we shouldn't even be together. But see, relationships like this is what we call toxic.
object was introduced into the struggle. Charisse allegedly used a knife, striking Dante in the left chest. Gravely injured, Dante managed to run out of the house to seek help before collapsing onto the sidewalk outside. Meanwhile, inside the residence, panic and chaos took over. Phone calls were made, including one where Charisse frantically contacted a family member to state
Chat, did y'all hear that? Sharice stabbed her baby father right in the chest during the argument. All this could have been avoided with one conversation. Everybody blowing up, everybody getting mad at each other. That's not the way we solve problems. You just make it worse.
what had just happened. But rather than waiting for the flashing lights of first responders, Cherise fled the scene, leaving her 11-year-old and 7-year-old behind.
And they always like to say men is deadbeats. This lady stabbed her baby father in front of the two kids. Well, I don't know if it was in front of the kids, but I know they was in the house. I know they heard it. And she fled the scene, left the kids there. Women like this is a psycho. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that serious for you to stab the man. You could have had a talk with him. You could have went into your car and drove off, came back with a better attitude. You could have called your mother or your father for some advice. But instead, you rather take the man's life inside the house and then fled off into the sunset. Tragic.
Who had been alerted rushed over to safely remove the kids from the home. At 11:09 p.m., Baltimore police received emergency calls and dispatched officers to the Kenwood Avenue address. When they arrived, they found Dante on the ground outside, suffering from a severe wound to his body, along with irregular abrasions on his arms that looked like defensive wounds. Medics rushed him to a nearby hospital.
See, relationships like this, you can lose your life, you can lose your freedom, or you can lose your mind. It's crazy. Pay attention.
But tragically, he succumbed to his injuries shortly after arrival. The investigation moved rapidly. When detectives secured a search warrant for the home, the physical evidence painted a grim picture. They discovered significant amounts of red stains tracking through the entire first floor and located a knife covered in stains lying on the floor between the living room and the dining room. For a few
This stupid ass woman left all the evidence, blood on the floor, her handprints on the knife on the floor. She left the kids. That's two witnesses. You went through all this. You could avoid it. Instead of being a woman, you chose to be a crazy ass little girl.
days, Cherise was nowhere to be found. But on July 3rd, she walked into the Baltimore Police Department headquarters and turned herself into detectives. She was processed, booked at the Central Booking and Intake Facility, and officially hit with the highest level of life ending charges. The community's reaction was a mix of profound grief and utter heartbreak. The loss shook those who knew Dante as a vibrant football dad, and a cloud of sadness hung over the fact
Some people think if you in a toxic relationship that person love you more or they gonna treat you better. But it's the total opposite.
that these two young children had essentially lost both of their parents in a single evening. When the case moved through the courts, the defense began setting up a strategy rooted entirely in self defense. During a scheduling hearing,
That's bullshit. How was that self defense? The man, I never heard them say the man had a weapon or the man pulled out a gun. How was it self defense? To me, it sounded like it was an argument. She got mad and pulled out a knife or went to go grab a knife and stabbed the man. How was that self defense if he didn't have a weapon?
in November 2025, a trial date was set for May of the following year. But as March 2026 approached, the timeline shifted. Prosecutors offered Sharice a plea deal, a life sentence with all but 30 years suspended. Sharice rejected it, choosing instead to take her chances with a jury, where she faced a maximum penalty of spending the rest of her life behind bars. The trial was brief but intense. The defense attempted to introduce a short video from years prior showing Dante making menacing statements to Charisse, telling her he would put her in a box, as well as a letter detailing her mental health treatment for post traumatic stress disorder.
Okay, if the relationship was that bad, I have a question. Why didn't she leave sooner? Why? That's why I keep telling y'all. Most people in this country is average, living paycheck to paycheck, trying to keep up their bills. Most people can't afford to leave a relationship and move to somewhere else. Their family not gonna let them move in. Their friends not gonna let them move in. So a lot of people be in these toxic relationships and they try to force it to work.
The judge ultimately deemed those specific items inadmissible due to the timing, but ruled that Sharice could directly testify about her state of mind. And testify she did. Taking the stand, Charisse and her defense attorney described a horrifying history of severe physical altercations. Charisse, who stands at less than 5 feet tall, testified that Dante towered over her and that physical trauma was a permanent fixture in their 15-year relationship.
If the relationship was that bad, she could have left. She could have called the police. Anything. She could have got a different boyfriend. Like it's many stuff she could have did. She stayed in relationship, waited until the relationship got worse, and then decided to take this man's life. That's stupid. You could have left the relationship, worked on your problems, found out what was wrong with you. Because sometimes in a relationship, you be wrong. And if you not wrong, the other person wrong, but you still allow them